Joining us now on the Marmy Rock Show, glad to have Matt Gomez from Sons of the Radio. The weather didn't get us this week. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Hey, man, tell us about last weekend, man. It was kind of a disaster of sorts weather-wise in Maryland, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a mess. So, yeah, the Frozen Harbor Music Festival was scheduled for Saturday. We were supposed to play and load in by 3 p.m., and it was just a mess out there. And for us, we have a kind of a personal stake in whether we play a show or not, because we've been around for 6 years, and we've never, ever once had to cancel a show for any reason. So we were really hoping to keep that streak intact, but it came to where it was getting close to the show. We didn't want to put our friends and fans in danger, and so we finally had to decide to pull the plug on it. But man, it was a mess with this heavy ice and rain, and then snowing on top of the ice, and it was treacherous out there.
Yeah, well, you guys made the right decision, and you weren't alone, man. A whole lot of people had to bail on that one because Baltimore was a wreck that day. So,
yeah.
Hey, give me a little, for folks that don't know you guys, we've known you for a while, and you got a cool album out there, The Delicate Machinery, but give folks a little bit of a bio of the band.
Oh, sure. We started in 2009 in the Howard County area and in Maryland, and we just really started as a cover band. We were going to local bars, playing rock covers. Our wheelhouse was really kind of 90s rock, that kind of sound. And we just thought of ourselves as a bar band, you know, nothing fancy. We weren't planning to write original music or anything like that. But we got an opportunity to play Ram's Head Live very early on. We knew a promoter that was doing some booking for local bands there. And he said, you know, the catch is you would need to have original music. Is that something you guys think you could do? And we were all just so jazzed about the idea of being able to play a great venue like Ram's Head that we rushed into the practice room and said, well, let's start trying to write and see what we can come up with. And in 1 month, we came up with 4 original songs. And then some of the bandmates all came together with songs that they had played in old bands that they were in, got permission to use those, and we came up with a full set of music that we could play. That was April '09. And, you know, after the show, people were like, we didn't even know you wrote original music. It was awesome. What are you guys thinking of recording or what? And so eventually we kind of went in that direction, but we still do the cover shows as well, and we've been straddling that fence ever since.
So out of all that comes the album of Delicate Machinery. Tell us a little bit about that. Do those original tunes you're talking about appear on that album?
No, those were on the first record, which is sort of a EP-length record that we put out called Heartstrings and Heresies. The second one, the second was a full length, and we went into it saying, okay, you know, our first EP was cool. It had a bunch of cool rock tunes that can kind of stand on their own. Let's write an album. Let's write something that's meant to be approached as a body of work. You know, for me and for Mike, our guitarist, you know, we are both album rock kind of guys. We like classic rock and having that intimate connection with an artist through a full body of work. And so that's what we set out to kind of do, rather than 12 tracks that are all individual and you know, all trying to make it as radio singles or something like that. It's got some transition tracks and some weird stuff on there that isn't necessarily rock radio ready material, but it's you know, it's an interesting I think journey for a listener.
Hey, that's a great segue for the 2 questions I had here. I was going to ask you about the short little tune 21225. Is that a zip code?
Yeah. The story behind that is early on in the band's I guess tenure, I was living in Federal Hill, and my roommate and I, you know, after a real late rock show, I'd get home at 3 a.m., unpack, and I'd wake up the next morning feeling a little hungover and needing something to take the edge off. And so my roommate would say, hey, let's head down toward Glen Burnie and just hit a restaurant down there and grab some quick, you know, fast food. And so every weekend it seemed like we were traveling through Brooklyn Park on the way to Glen Burnie to hit some of our familiar spots. And so, I don't know, it just became a little implanted in my brain and in a way associated with those hungover mornings after shows, and so I decided to pay a little tribute to it in a way.
So the other tune I wanted to ask you about that just kind of caught my interest a little bit was Bagman, man. Tell me what that tune's about.
Yeah, so that dovetails actually with 21225. Bagman makes a reference to Poteet Street, which is another street corner there in Brooklyn. and I guess that's Brooklyn. But anyway, so we would drive through there, and once in a while we would see people. It was really sad. They were asking for money on the corner and holding a sign, and had all their belongings in a shopping cart and things like that. And it got me thinking and wondering about their life and what led them to that situation. It was in the midst of the economic downturn and all that stuff. So I just thought I would write. It's kind of a song that's an observation about life and how people can go from being at the top of the heap, as it says in the song, to downtrodden and on the low end of things. And it's sad, but at the same time, you don't necessarily know it to listen to the song because the lyrics are stream of consciousness, and the song itself sounds kind of upbeat. So I don't know. It's just an interesting song.
Yeah, I like hearing the story behind it, man. That's why I like interviewing people like you. I get to learn a little bit about the music that way. And I can't put my finger exactly on what it is, and I think you can maybe help me. Is there a slight change in your style between Heartstrings? You talked about that EP. Did the style change just a little bit on the new record between that one?
Yeah, I would say it did. I think in the beginning, we were playing cover shows, and a lot of people were asking for music like Buck Cherry and harder rock, in your face, almost mean in some ways. Like when you think about Buck Cherry, like Crazy Bitch, and songs like that for us went over really well as covers. And so, Just Presto, our first song on Heartstrings and Heresies, came out of that, and some of the other songs in the album are a little kind of, about heartbreaking temptress, type, songs that's typical rock lyric territory. But then as we grew as a band, I don't want to be writing about that forever. I wanted to get into new territory and more thoughtful territory with my lyrics. And we also changed bassists, and Tom Kowalski, who came in on bass in 2011, really gave a little bit of a softer edge to what we do. Maybe not soft so much as melodic and rhythmic. He plays up the neck on the bass a lot and is able to do a lot of really interesting and versatile things that you don't hear too often. So that definitely had an influence on our sound as well. So we went for a little bit more of a melodic, less rhythmic, less aggressive, in your face sound on the Delicate Machinery. Although I would say that I think our heaviest song that we've written is on there, so it's kind of a balance.
So that album, man, both that album and your profile picture has some kind of wild artwork on it. Where's the inspiration behind that artwork?
Well, thanks, first of all. And I went to school at University of Maryland, College Park, and my college roommate when I was a junior was an art student, and we have remained really good friends. He was a groomsman in my wedding last year, and so anyway, he's now an art teacher in the Atlanta area, and he's been wanting to do something artistically for the band for a long time. And finally, we knew we were coming close to having a new album. We were trying to figure out what we wanted in terms of the theme to kind of tie it all together. We were looking at the body of songs and saying, like, every song on this record sounds different. It's just a complete hodgepodge. It's like a machine or some sort of weird monster with a bunch of gears and parts and just randomness in it. How are we going to display that in terms of art? And so I asked my buddy, because he's really good at this kind of like biometric looking art, which is just like, maybe some sort of weird organic tissue, body parts mixed with machines and engines and gears and things like that. That's just really his forte. And I told him what we were looking for, and he kind of gave us a couple different options of directions he could go, and then did this full illustration that's got our kind of like our logo emblazoned on this bronze-looking engine thing with all this random organic matter floating around in it, and it's just wild. And we looked at it, we said, yep, that's it. And that became our artwork. And then we basically just took a photo of the band and superimposed it over like a ghost version of that photo or that artwork, and that became that photo that's inside the record.
So, hey, I noticed you guys are taking on a lot of shows these days. 54 shows last year, it looks like, and congratulations! I saw you posted 328 shows. So, you going to keep that pace up in 2015?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, do you think you're going to have that same kind of pace in 2015 as you had last year?
Yeah, I think our busiest year was 2011. I think it was, and we did 75 shows, and that got to be a little bit much because we all have day jobs. But I think we'll stick around the 50 range. We're trying to switch more over into shows where we can play our original music now that we have a little bit more material behind us. In 2015 for us, the big focus is going to be writing new material and releasing a new record, hopefully by the end of the year. So that'll be our second full length and our third release, and we're really excited about that.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to see what you guys do next year. And the album out there now, the second one you're talking about is The Delicate Machinery. Get out and check that one out. It's out on iTunes and all the other good spaces you can get to. And, hey, Matt Gomez from Sons of the Radio, everybody. Matt, I really appreciate you being here on the show. I appreciate you getting through the little disaster of your broken pipes there and rescheduling the show with us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, and thanks to Mid-Atlantic Rock Reviews. And yeah, well, we'll be keeping up with you and following you, and we'll talk soon. We'll see you out at a show.
Sounds great, man. We'll talk to you soon.